Hello, my name is the Reverend Elizabeth Durant. I am a cis, queer woman, a local church pastor, and co-chair of the Central Pacific Conference of the United Church of Christ Justice and Witness Ministry team, who authored the resolution before you today. Thank you for the prayerful time and consideration that you will give to this resolution. And thank you to our conference minister in the Central Pacific Conference, Reverend Tyler Connolly, for believing us. As a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, I have always been a person who received stories of sexual harassment, of abuse, and sexism. And as a pastor, I hold those stories in my body each time I enter the pulpit. Sometimes I even preach about it to break the stigma and to raise awareness. And during the Kavanaugh hearings, as more and more Me Too stories broke in the national media, and as the former president publicly attacked and slandered and threatened congresswomen, the pulpit became a dangerous place for my body. And it became harder to stand there in front of everyone and be silent about what was happening in my church. The unwanted kiss on my cheek during coffee hour, and the hand that strayed too low on my back, the inappropriate joke about sex in front of our Sunday school children, patronizing remarks about my vocal range and use of the microphone, sexist assumptions about my intelligence and my capacity for senior leadership, critique of my clothing and hair, and then my salary. And this isn't about me. Like, even as I say this, I'm aware that you will say, oh, it's just that one call she was in. It was her first one, right? More often than not, it was women in the church, not men, who were making those remarks. And I told myself to be professional, that being a pastor means that you are in a role where you don't take things personally and you aren't too sensitive. Being a pastor means that you put others first and you do your job. And then Riverside, UCC, and the news about Reverend Amy Butler broke in the news. And after that, more people came to me. It wasn't just the internalized sexism that held me back. It was all of those stories. The stories from other women, other clergy women, and the stories from non-binary and trans folk. And that is why the resolution, clumsy as it is, calls out non-binary and trans folk, because the lived experiences of my colleagues and my lived experience is the experience in every church, in every pulpit, everywhere. It's sexism, yes, but it's also racism, and it's homophobia, and it's transphobia, and they all mix together, and it's difficult to say which it is, where it ends, but it's in the church. And I hold those stories in my body. I hold them, and I want you to carry them with me. That's this resolution. These are our stories. These are our stories because it is everywhere. And we give people a pass, right? Because it's the church and because of the perpetrator's age, or they're retired, or they're clergy, or they're a woman. Like all resolutions, this one is incomplete. It requires our commitment and our action. Action is what we need. There are so many barriers to reporting harassment and addressing microaggressions, right? There's a fitness review, which is an impossible bar. So many churches have abuse prevention policies for children, but none for adults, let alone for the person who is in the pulpit, the one who is leading them. We need a national and a conference and a congregational level sexual harassment policy. We need to remove the barriers for reporting. We need mandatory training for members of the Committee on Ministry and for our church councils and our pastoral relations committees. And do not let them tell you that polity prevents us. There is nothing that prevents us from changing our church culture. I want you to know that this resolution was created in pain and in longing for the church that I love and in hope for the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Spirit might change us, because these are our stories. Representation is not, will never be enough. The church is a dangerous place to serve, and it doesn't have to be. And it won't remain so if we speak out and if we listen. So let's get to work.